Hello everyone! So trying to squeeze in a couple more Halloween cards before the end of the month. And I'm finally getting a chance to use, this is the spooky kit from the Greeting Farm that I had pre-ordered months ago, like way back in July, and then I got it in, I think September? I forget. Anyway, pre-ordered it, finally getting a chance to use it, and it comes on this massive sheet of rubber, which I knew. You get 8 stamps and then 7 sentiments in this kit. And Simon Says Stamp got them in stock as well, which is awesome because for the longest time you couldn't even get them other than the pre-order. But now you can, and yeah, it's a huge kit. It's so cute. And I love that it's got the little monster images as well. I think those will be cute for like little birthday cards, you know, for little monsters. So hopefully I will get to make some cards for that later on. But yeah, to use them, I highly, highly, highly recommend the Tim Holtz tonic scissors. I've shown these in videos before for trimming out rubber stamps. They cut through the rubber like butter. This stuff, it's a really deep etched rubber, a really thick rubber, high quality. It's already backed on easy mount cling foam, so these scissors are perfect for cutting it out. And Caitlin has quite a lot to say. She's in the room and she's in a good mood, so fingers crossed it lasts through the video. I like to trim my stamps really, really close and just use straight cuts. Really simple. So I trimmed out just the stamp I wanted to use in the sentiments and then left the rest for later. And I'm trimming down some, this is CC Designs Copic Quality 80-pound cardstock. I'm planning to mount this onto a 110 cardstock base. So I thought I would just use 80-pound this time. It's just easier for blending, and I don't use it very often. I always use the 110-pound, but sometimes it's fun to mix it up. So I'm inking up the stamp with My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink, and then stamping it onto my card base here, my cardstock. And then I thought, since I'm going to do a lot of Copic coloring, and that's kind of going to be the focus of this card, I'm not going to go into any embellishing or anything like that. I decided to keep it simple. So I'm going to do a different sort of skin tone. Normally I do my, E50, E21, E13, but this time I'm using E31 as my base, then E33 here, and then I'll go in with E35. So working lightest to darkest, my first layer of the skin is always a mess because it's going to get blended out and smoothed out by the end of it, so I just need to lay down some color. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then I go in with my medium, which was the E33, and then I'd gone in with the E35. And now I'm blending out that darkest with the E33 again, just pulling it in a little bit further onto the skin and just making sure to blend out that E35. And then finally I go back in with my E31 and blend everything together. And that's where I like the 80-pound cardstock, just a thinner cardstock. The color blends a lot smoother and faster. You don't need to use as much ink. So yeah, did the skin, and then for his hair I wanted to do a dark brown, so I did E44, E47, and E49. And that's the one thing I love about the Greeting Farm images, is they always have they have such big heads and a lot of hair, so you can really play around and experiment with coloring. With this little guy, it was a little bit more difficult because he had that little pumpkin topper on his head. If I were to redo this image, what I probably would do is completely color over the pumpkin topper so that the streaks of hair that I'm doing would be more consistent and even and just easier to do. And then I would stamp the top of the image separately, color in the pumpkin topper, trim it out, and glue it over this to cover that, if that makes any sense. That's what I would do if I were to do this again, just to make things a little more seamless and just to make the hair a little easier, because it's kind of disjointed trying to color around that topper. It wasn't like the end of the world or anything, but I just found it a little bit annoying. But as always, I work just lightest to darkest and just doing it in streaks, basically. So I wanted his hair to be really dark, so I didn't leave a lot of lighter areas or open. You can leave more white if you want, and that gives it a really strong highlight, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be really dark, but yet still have that little bit of texture for his hair. And then I went on to the funnest part, which is his little pumpkin costume. And my go-to orange color combo, no thought involved at all, is always YR 04, 07, and 09. They blend together perfectly. It's the perfect shade of orange in the end. I just love it. So I did YR 04 as my base, again, not being at all neat with it, didn't care. Then went in with my YR07 for the darker areas, and then I went in with YR09 for the deepest areas. And then I decided to mix it up just a little bit, and I took E09, which is just a more brownish orangey brown sort of color, kind of more a red brown, I guess. And I put that in just the very darkest areas. It really deepens it. So a little bit of an experiment for me. I've tried that a couple times and I really like it. So put that down and then I blend that with the YR09 and they blend really well. I am just so happy she's in a good mood, this poor teething little monster. She has been through hell the past couple weeks and today is the first day she's been cheerful, so it just makes me happy. So we'll see when I re-listen to this if you guys can even hear me talking. So anyway, working back to the lightest, so I did my YR07 to blend out the two darkest colors, and then finally back with my YR04 to blend everything together and smooth it all out and make it look all fabulous. So really, really easy. I find images like this where you do have a lot more space on open areas to blend and color, that the lighter weight cardstock is nice to get that nice smooth blend if that's what you're looking for. And then for the side of the little pumpkin topper and then the face, I'm using YR21 and 23. So 21 and then add the 23 and then blend it back out with the 21 again. Super, super simple. And then for the leaf and his little feet, I'm just using G02, 05, and 07. So lightest to darkest, really easy. These three blend so nicely together. So not much effort at all required. So put on the light, the medium, the dark, blend out the dark with medium, and then blend it all together with the lightest. And that was it for the leaf. And then for his stem, I decided to use E25, 27, and 29, just a different shade of brown than his hair. So really quick and simple, get that all nicely blended. And then I'm going to go on and stamp the sentiment onto here. I kind of thought about for half a second I was going to do some like shading around him, you know, color on some ground. And then decided I spent enough time coloring the image and I wanted to keep this card literally as simple as possible. So I'm just going to stamp the sentiment. So I used my stamp positioner to make sure I get this straight, because there's nothing worse than you spend all this time coloring and then, you know, you mess up the sentiment. If I had done that, I would have just cut that image out and like adhered it to a different card or something, but it worked. So my card base this time is 110-pound cardstock that's cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and then scored at 5 1/2. So it's just a standard A2 size card. And then I'm going to adhere this flat to the card. I thought again about doing like adding some dimensionals, like putting it on foam tape and popping up this little panel. But again, I thought, you know, I'm going to keep this super flat and simple. This is a nice little card that you could just color up, pop in the mail. No extra effort required, just really cute and fun. So for the inside, I just inked up the little guy again with Memento Tangelo ink and stamped him on the inside. And then I took the Happy Halloween sentiment from the kit and again used my stamp positioner to make sure I get it stamped straight on the inside of the card. And I don't worry about not getting it stamped perfectly on the stamp positioner. It's when I stamp it on the cardstock that it's important. So get it lined up and then this time make sure to stamp the whole sentiment perfectly, just like so. And then of course, I didn't want to leave it just as color. She's playing with a bunch of toys behind me, making as much noise as possible. I grabbed my Wink of Stella brushes, and I'm using the orange here to cover all the orange on his outfit. And it's so pretty. Like, camera and video do not do these things justice. It's so pretty. You could use clear for this, of course, but I find the colors are even more sparkly. The orange is perfect over, especially over this color combo of Copics. The orange just makes it pop and doesn't cover the details or anything. Same with, I'm using the yellow Wink of Stella here for the yellow areas. And same thing, it just enhances it and doesn't cover up the dimension I created with the markers. And then I grabbed my light green for the leaf. Same thing, it didn't cover up the shading. I used the brown for the stem. That one is pretty dark, so it did kind of cover up, but I didn't worry about it. But like I said, you could use clear instead, but the colors just give it that something. So that is it. As always, there will be a link below the video to all the supplies used, as well as a link to my blog post and all that stuff. So check out the info box below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.